Some aren't too thrilled by the prospect of DC turning James Gunn into a brand, especially after his cameos in recent DC projects. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Long gone are the days when a movie star's involvement alone could secure a movie's success, as apart from Tom Cruise, a major Hollywood star's casting doesn't always contribute to guaranteed box office success. With notable directors being more effective in pulling crowds nowadays, it seems DC is betting all its cards on James Gunn. However, not many are too thrilled about the prospect of Gunn becoming the potential face of the DC brand, especially after his cameo in Creature Commandos and the Superman Unlimited #1 poster. Taking to X, some fans called out DC for seemingly turning Gunn as the face of the company, which stemmed from his appearances on Creature Commandos, Harley Quinn, and the recent cover for Superman Unlimited #1. On the flip side, it's important to note that Gunn is arguably the biggest CBM director in the market, and from a marketing standpoint for Superman, it makes sense why he has been the center of attraction. Considering auteurs are starting to become the next big thing when it comes to pulling large crowds, given James Gunn's track record so far, it makes sense why DC is betting all its cards on Gunn. Although the NBA promo featuring Shaquille O'Neal and Superman Unlimited #1 poster featuring Gunn and David Corenswet is more of a marketing move, his CC cameo had nothing to do with Gunn. According to Creature Commandos showrunner Dean Lorey, the Guardians director had no input regarding his cameo in the intro, via IGN. James had a credit and we were trying to figure out, well, we gave all the characters sort of little moments, animated moments in the credits. And we were like, James is kind of a character. We should give him something. And so we all got very excited about it and we spent a lot of time working on it. And how does he? Does he lean back in the chair? What does he do? Given Gunn's history behind the scenes, it's not surprising why the animators opted to surprise the DC head by incorporating him in the title, as according to his collaborators, Gunn has been always a top guy to work with. Dwayne Johnson didn't agree with James Gunn's decision to cancel any further Black Adam films, suggesting that it was a bad financial move. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam received a mixed reception at the theaters and reports strongly suggested that the film failed to break even at the box office. But that's not how Johnson viewed the reception of the film. Black Adam was the biggest opening of his entire career and it baffled the Fast and Furious actor that DC decided to discontinue his story after one film. Johnson claimed that James Gunn's decision to cut short the reign of the Kondak anti-hero wasn't financially well informed. He shared that even business people and Wall Street questioned the move. He shared that the film had great numbers despite COVID-related challenges. Black Adam was not a cheap film to make considering that sources mentioned its budget anywhere between $190 million and $260 million. According to Box Office Mojo, the film grossed $393 million at the worldwide box office. Reports suggested that the film failed to break even despite the decent box office collection post-COVID, via THR. Dwayne Johnson earlier shared that Black Adam was a once-in-a-career character and that he gave his best to the film, via Total Film. When Black Adam 2 didn't take off, Johnson blamed it on the new leadership under James Gunn. Johnson appeared on Kevin Hart's Heart to Heart talk show and discussed the biggest mystery of discontinuing Black Adam. Johnson shared, "Anytime you have a company, but especially that size and magnitude, that's a publicly traded company and you have all those changes in leadership. You have people coming in who creatively, fiscally are going to make decisions that you may not agree with philosophically." Johnson shared that it was baffling for him because he believed he did everything right for the film. He shared that it wasn't just he and Hart who found the cancellation to be shocking. He shared that even Wall Street was mystified by the decision. He shared, "That will always be one of the biggest mysteries, I think, not only for me and us on our end, but also throughout our business. Because that's a Kevin question. But that was a question out of Wall Street. That was a question out of Hollywood. That was a question like, wait a second. You had the biggest opening of your career. You're establishing a new superhero. You want to grow out the franchise. You bring back Superman and Henry Cavill. The world went crazy." Johnson also shared that Black Adam created a diverse superhero portfolio, suggesting the introduction of Justice Society of America in the film. Johnson shared that they had men and women of color in the film playing these roles. Dwayne Johnson further shared with Kevin Hart that he and Hart always thought of the audience first as business-minded people. He shared that the viewers were their first boss and they focused on creating things that are fresh. He shared that when people come in at the top and disregard this one thing, they wouldn't be able to agree with them. However, Johnson shared that they had to eventually go along with these top-tier people on such decisions. He used the perfect NFL analogy to explain the circumstance. Johnson shared, "It's like new ownership coming in, buying an NFL team and going, all right, not my head coach, not my quarterback. Doesn't matter how many times you won a Super Bowl, doesn't matter how many rings we got, I'm going with somebody else." It wasn't just a second Black Adam film that eventually got kicked off the DCEU roster. The entire universe was scrapped and replaced with a new DCEU, with Gunn starting over with every single character. Amidst the Batman Part 2's progress, James Gunn clears the air surrounding DCEU's Batman feature. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Since announcing the DCEU slate last year, James Gunn has been pretty vocal about prioritizing stories over everything else. Being a writer-director himself, the Peacemaker showrunner has continued to stress the importance of storytelling in the medium, which many CBM releases have been undermining in recent years. Similar is the case with DCU's Batman, as even though the film was announced a long time ago, Gunn clarified they've no intentions of rushing its development without a story worth telling. While DC has been struggling to build an interwoven cinematic universe for years, one thing they've got mostly right is Batman, and we've got the creative minds behind them to thank for it. Although Matt Reeves continues to excel with the Batman epic crime saga, fans are intrigued to see what James Gunn's DCU will have to offer with its very own Caped Crusader. But even though announcements from the DCU don't stop coming, there has been little news about the progress of its very own Batman feature. Addressing it, the Superman filmmaker clarified that until they have a screenplay at hand, they're totally content with the movie not getting made, reiterating, via Collider, everything in DC is going to be based on the writers. There's no set timeline for anything. The one thing that I've tried to make clear to people from the beginning, in the way that I hope we're different, is that everything in DC is going to be based on the writers. Until we have a screenplay that I'm totally happy with, that movie is not going to get made, no matter what it is. On the bright side, this could ensure that the Dark Knight's legacy on the silver screen remains untarnished, which also explains why the new regime had no issues with the delay of the Batman Part 2. Originally slated for a 2025 release, the Batman Part 2 was later pushed back to 2026, and this could be linked to Reeves' progress on the script for the sequel. Even though some reports previously claimed that the filmmaker was done with his work on the second chapter script, Gunn recently cleared the air, adding they're still, via threads, very much looking forward to it. I think that report was well-intentioned, but it was mistaken. We are very much looking forward to it. Considering that the issues with most CBM failures in recent years boiled down to their underwhelming storylines, the new regime's stance on prioritizing writers seems like a step in the right direction. James Gunn's Lanterns could follow suit with Superman and introduce a character that has one thing in common with Green Lanterns. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe.